Start your day the joyful way. It's your weekday morning talk show inviting you to start your day with a triple shot of good vibes. And now here's your host, the queen of joy herself, Jessica Dugas. Good Monday morning, everybody. Today is Monday, May 30th, 2022. The day has arrived. My oldest son is 21 years old today. He got up this morning. Got up early today. Typically mornings are not his thing, but he's working today. And I said, that's how you know that you're an adult now, when you have to work on your birthday. No one cares. And it's time to go to work. And so I had to bring him to work early, but he's down here fixing his coffee and doing the adulty things. And we had a moment. It was nice. So he's working, and then he'll come home this afternoon and we'll do some birthday things. So yeah, that's the big news on the home front today. It's the bittersweet joy as a mom. I mean, it's always really nice it's fun for me to see the kids grow up and to have your relationship with them evolve a little bit. Obviously, depending on the different stages of life that they're in, your relationship is different. And so it's nice to have that. It's enjoyable to have the adultness, but it's also that, seems like yesterday moment when, we were at the restaurant and you were acting like a gerbil eating the breadstick. Just little things like that, that are fun memories. So at any rate, happy birthday to my son, Clay. I hope you have a fun day at work. And I hope they do something special for you there. And then we'll have some birthday shenanigans when you get home. What else is going on today? It's Memorial Day, everybody. And we're going to have a little educational moment here this morning, because I continue to see year after year, it is the same thing, which is people wishing happy Memorial Day to all people in the armed forces. That's not what Memorial Day is for. Memorial Day remembers the men and women who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. And it can also be a day to remember the loved ones who passed away. So even my dad, my friend, my cousin, people that have served, they're like, every year people wish me a happy Memorial Day, and that is not what today is for. So Veterans Day is a day to honor those who have served in a time of war. Memorial Day is a day to honor those who lost their lives serving. And Armed Forces Day is the day to honor everybody in the United States Armed Forces. So now that we have that all good to go. But it's a long weekend for most people. It hasn't been for us before today. This is the first Memorial Day that my husband has had off since we've been married. He's sleeping right now. This has never happened, and it's very interesting. He was in the car business for many years, and they maximize their selling on the days that are holidays. So he would usually have to work on holidays, but this is his first one off. Also happens to be my son's birthday. And and we have a lot going on, which I'm excited. The big announcement is coming officially on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. We've been working on a lot behind the scenes over here, and all I can tell you is be here on Thursday. That's it. What else is going on today? So listen, I had a moment this morning, because I was looking at the national days today, and it is apparently National Hole in My Bucket Day. And it remembers this wacky children's song. Apparently there's a hole in my bucket, and I'm typically the one that knows random musical facts, random songs, especially where children's songs are concerned. I used to be a children's choir director, and so I would be the one that, like, I would know those things. I don't believe I've ever heard this song. And so I'm going to go listen to it today and see if I remembered it. I was trying to pull it up for you guys, and then my computer started doing something wonky during the intro. So I said, well, we're just not going to do it. But apparently this song has its origins in 1700 Germany. In fact, if you Google hole in my bucket song, the German version will pop up as well, which we know was, I mean, I wasn't going to, because I don't read German. And it's about a back and forth conversation between Henry and Liza. Henry needs to fix his leaky bucket. In each stanza, Henry asks Liza for advice, and in the end, he needs a bucket to carry water to repair his bucket. While the annual event was inspired by a song concerned with fixing a leaky bucket, there are other ways to celebrate this day. We all know it's a bit of a bummer when a once serviceable bucket gets a hole, but all is not lost. Holy buckets serve a purpose. While they may no longer hold liquids or hold them well, they do still maintain volumes of mass. Depending on where the hole is, it can do many jobs. So there's lots of, you can actually go to nationaldaycalendar.com and click on the National Hole in My Bucket Day, and it has a ton of ideas. If you have buckets at your home that have holes in them, there's so many ideas of what you can use a holy bucket for. So I was very interested in that. I am that person. I'm always trying to reuse things if they don't work for what they were originally intended, because we know I'm a nostalgic person. Sometimes I have a hard time letting things go. But if I can reuse it for something in a different manner, I like to do that. So we have this table out in my garage, and it was a table that belonged to my grandmother and I think my mom. And the chairs that came with it were really, really nice wooden chairs. Well, the one chair, I mean, these are old chairs. Okay. I have pictures of me as like a 6-month-old crawling underneath these chairs. They're old chairs. Okay. So the one chair split directly in half. And I refused to get rid of the pieces because they were my grandmother's chair. And I'm like, can we make a table out of it? Can we make something out of it? And my husband thought he was going to be funny this weekend and take like the half of the chair that's still intact and be like, we'll just nail something into the wall and put it up against the wall. And it reminded me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when he had halves. Do you guys remember seeing his office at the end of the movie and he had halves of furniture in there, things that were just cut in half, and he's like, we'll just like put it like on a corner on the wall and have it be. Could you imagine people walking into the house and being like, what is that? What is that? What is going on? So anyway, if you can reuse a bucket, why not? Go to nationaldaycalendar.com and check out how you can use a bucket. It is also apparently National Mint Julep Day. Mint Julep Day is the refreshing Southern classic, and it's the traditional drink of the Kentucky Derby. It is a mint julep is made with mint leaf, bourbon, sugar, and water. I don't think I've actually had a mint julep. I've shared with you guys before. I was a bartender for a little while, but when I was a bartender, I couldn't drink. I was not old enough to drink. So a lot of these drinks that I made, I never had an opportunity to try, but I do like mint drinks, and mojito is one of my favorite drinks. And so I'll have to check that out. Apparently, spearmint is used often, but let me know if you've ever had a mint julep and if you like it. I don't drink anymore, so I won't be running out to try it, but I don't remember being a big fan of bourbon, so probably wouldn't be my thing, but I do like mint. It is also World Multiple Sclerosis Day, so sending lots of love to people that are navigating that challenge. It is also National Water a Flower Day. Water a Flower Day recognizes the season of caring for our garden plants. I've decided that every day I'm going to report and let you all know. I don't have it far enough over this morning. My orchid is still alive. Okay. I'm going to be reporting on her daily. She's still alive. The top part's looking a little wilty. I'm going to put her in the sun and I'm going to give her some more water. And I'm going to sing her a song, and then I will be reporting on her every day. You guys need to send the good vibes and encouragement that we're going to keep her alive and well for a long time. Cause I want to see if I can do it. I'm not good with houseplants. I try real hard, but it just doesn't work out very well. At any rate, let's see who's joining us this morning. Anne Marie's here this morning. She said, I can't carry a tune in a bucket, but I can plant stuff in it. See, exactly. And, there's a story, I think it was Darren Sprinkle that told me this story, because we were joking about just throwing seeds outside and just random seeds in places and letting flowers grow. And actually, if you go to Seattle, Washington, and you see lots of wildflowers on the side of the highway, that was Darren's fault. That was Darren's doing. He was telling me this story, and I wish I knew it right now. I wish he was here to tell it. But there's a story about somebody who had buckets and was traveling, and the one bucket had holes in it, and they didn't think it was doing any good. And then it comes to find out where the water, where the bucket was leaking water, it was feeding the flowers. It was and so anyway, clearly I cannot tell that story because I remember hearing it once. I have to hear a story a couple times in order to be able to run with it. But Darren told me that story, and I love that concept of, sometimes we feel like we're broken. We're not. We're making, we could be making a little difference. Okay, I'm glad you know what I'm talking about here. And Anne Marie says, make it into a shelf. It's a possibility, because the legs and everything of this chair are still really strong. They're good. I mean, clearly they weren't strong enough to not split the chair. I don't want to get rid of the chair. Okay. I don't want to do it. So I'm going to find some way to repurpose this chair. I will report back on that as well. All right, you guys, I'm really excited this morning because Shifra is back today to finish up. It's another bittersweet day here to finish up her series on mattering. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back with Shifra. Don't go anywhere.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to Project Joy Live. Today is Monday, May 30th, 2022, Memorial Day here in the United States. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and you're watching Project Joy Live. I am very excited to welcome back our special guest today. We have really been enjoying her series on mattering. She is the author of Dare to Matter. So without further ado, let's welcome back Shifra Malka to the show. Good morning, Shifra.
Jessica, good morning.
Good morning. It is good to see you again today.
Likewise. And I know that story with Henry and Liza. So fix it, dear Henry.
I mean, maybe I do know it, and it's just been a really long time. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
I
about
just don't recall
fixing that
hearing
hole
it.
in the bucket. Like, what could be so hard? And by
I
the way,
love
that
it.
bucket story, I think we spoke about that a few weeks ago, where that lady's holding the 2 pails of water
Yeah.
on her shoulders, and
Yeah.
one is cracked, and then and feels so bad because it's cracked, and then finally can't take it, and says to this pal says to the woman, you know, I just feel so terrible. My water keeps leaking.
Yeah.
Right? And she says, you are, look at these flowers. You are the reason that they adorn the sidewalk.
Yeah, I remember talking about that with you now. And so now it's interesting that has come up twice. And and now it's National Bucket Day. Here we go.
Yeah, when you started talking about the buckets, I'm like, we're gonna redo that story for a moment.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely. Well, I'm so glad to have you back today. As I shared last week with Scott and Kenneth as well, it was a bittersweet day with them because I really enjoyed these series. I know our audience has really enjoyed these series that we've been doing, and they, you know, to drive it on home, they matter. They've really mattered to everybody, and so they're special. Let's give everybody a little bit of a recap of what we've been talking about throughout this last month.
We've been asking the question about what is mattering and what happens when we matter. How do we show up into our lives when we matter, when we feel that there's a space to come into? We live life in a much larger way. And that's really what we've been talking about, that we can't buy it or borrow it, but we can create it. And we create it in bits and pieces.
I love that. I love that. It's it has, you know, I've always felt like I felt like throughout this series that joy has definitely tied into this topic of mattering, because when we feel like we matter, there is an immense joy to be had there. I feel like we wake up with more joy in the morning. And when we feel like we have a purpose, we matter. And so I've loved how everything's tied together. And we've talked about a lot of different things. And today we're going to finish out our series talking about smashing things. I'm very excited about this. I feel like I should have brought a hammer, a bat, something, but we're talking about emotional idols. Why don't you start out by sharing with everybody what exactly an emotional idol is?
Sure. So we can break it down and then we can build it all up again.
Yeah.
And I think we do have to break down certain illusions and certain distortions before we can build our large life that matters to us. So what is an idol? What is an idol? Give me your definition, then we'll knock that around a little bit.
So I mean, I immediately think of idol as something we worship, something we're giving a lot of energy to and kind of bowing down to a little bit, maybe more. I always immediately go down to maybe more than we should.
Yeah. So it's an image. It's an approximation of something real. Whether that be God, right? Instead of worshiping God, we're worshiping a counterfeit.
Right.
Whether we're worshiping any particular thing that has a hold over us, we have to ask ourselves, are we worshiping the authentic? Are we captivated by the authentic thing, the enduring reality of something? Or are we worshiping the counterfeit, temporary approximation of it? And that has everything to do with how we show up into our lives. let's just start with this simple thought. What does captivate us? What does have a hold over us?
Mm.
How can we know this? I think one simple way is look at what you laugh at and look at what you cry about. Those are things that slip past, they evoke the energy on an emotional level. And so if you don't know what's important to you, just watch, observe yourself. What are you laughing about? And what are you crying about?
Mm.
And you'll be able to get a sense of where the pain is, where the pleasure is, what the themes are for you.
Right.
So that's a good starting point.
Yeah, I mean I mean it goes back to, I've blown away again how this is kind of coming around with other topics we've talked about this last month with the other series guests as well, of the importance of kind of taking as much as we can, taking ourselves outside of a situation and looking at what are we doing, how are we reacting, what do things actually look like, because we can get caught up in the moment, like just going through the motions and not really paying attention to our reaction to things. Until you say to me, look at what you're laughing and crying at, I haven't paid any mind to those things typically. And so I think that's a great starting point to look at those things. And I even think about like when obviously these are going to differ per person. Like every person has different emotional idols, things that they're laughing and crying about. And so I think about when American Idol came out, the TV show, and how everybody had, you'd have the winner and there would be half the population going like, oh yes, of course they're American Idol, they're fabulous. And then the other half going, yeah, I didn't like them at all. So it kind of ties into that, we all have those different things that we're worshiping, so to speak.
Yes.
So we know that to start at what we're laughing and crying at, and then what do we do from that point?
When we embrace our humanity and others, and we're looking to celebrate people and to see the authentic, we're looking for the divine, however you translate that.
Mm.
And when we see and honor that divine, then logically there's no room for idol worship, because we have the authentic, we have the real. So just from a logical point of view, we say that where there's idol worship, where there's anger, where there's jealousy, where there's smallness of spirit, God can't exist there, because the godliness in all of us, the highest pieces of all of us, are not about that. They're real, and they are the spirit part of us. So when we break down the particular idol, the particular thing that we're worshiping, that makes us small inappropriately. We're not talking about making us humble,
Right.
that make us small inappropriately, that rob us of our largeness and of the space that we need to stand in for our light to shine. Then that's what we're talking about. That's what we have to look at and destroy. We have to evaluate it, and we have to see what value we're giving to it.
Right.
What is it in there that has the hold over us, and dismantle it. So let's just take jealousy for an example, or anger, something that's a very negative flow of energy. If we look at it carefully, we might be able to see what it is that really, like, what is it really about? Right? What is it that these could be very important teachers to us. They can hold up to the light something that we didn't see in another way. But when there's a lot of negative energy around it, we can get a look at it, and because it's painful not to. So we have to look at it, stand in that pain, and then understand something from it, and then discard it. We don't need it. Once
Right.
we have utilized it as our teacher, it's gone, it's done.
Mm.
That's a part of it.
Yeah. And I like how you're saying use it as a teacher and then move it aside. I think so many people try to, I mean, in the spiritual community, we kind of call it spiritual bypassing, where we're just kind of ignoring those things that we're experiencing, but they can be, like you're saying, really good teachers and help us where we're at in the moment. And so, like, using it for what it is and then moving on. And I know for me, on my health slash healing journey that I've been on my whole life, um, I I've had to look at even those emotional things that have come up around where my health is concerned, and process through those in the same way that you're talking about with things like jealousy and things like that that have come up. And when I do that, when I find out, like, what is that thing that I'm hanging on to, because it's a purpose in the moment, there's a reason that it's there in front of me and I'm hanging on to it, then when I do that work to release it, I'm able to take that next step physically, to work through the whatever challenge it is that I'm going through. So even in that, like, that's been my experience with it. And how much have you seen that in your work as well, where these emotional idols are very much connected to the physical as well?
I first want to comment on just as a principle that pain is the most eloquent speaker.
Mm.
So while joy sustains all the growth, a lot of times pain is the catalyst for it.
Mm.
And right, it gets us to really stop. Otherwise, we wouldn't bear the discomfort to slow
Right.
down and to look at it. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
But to your question about, let's just restate that these blocks have how did you say that again? That these blocks are
That the emotional is connected to the physical in some kind of way.
Of course. At the most basic level, when we smile, we're smiling because usually we're connected to something pleasurable or something that that feels good.
Yeah.
And when we cry, something is either being released or relived or remembered. So that's just the most basic level. We can see a body response to an emotional
Right.
reality. I guess if we want to talk more about it, I mean, you were saying how when you looked at something on an emotional level and you release it on a body level, all we can sense that relief. We can feel it. Even it might feel like a lighter heart. All of a sudden, we talk about a burden being removed. And yes, we can really sense that in a physical way, because our body does hold our thoughts. It does hold where we're at. And it can tell us a lot about our growth, where we need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Anne Marie was saying sometimes I use or flip anger to propel me to do better. And I love that, being able to. Do you have any? Because I think I was talking to Scott about this last Wednesday as well. When you are in those challenging moments, so in this situation, we have recognized that, certain emotional idols that we have. How do you, in those challenging moments, or maybe when we're recognizing that we're have some maybe not emotions that we want as idols, things that are challenging for us, how do you sort of work through that yourself, of giving yourself I mean, for me, like, I try to give myself the grace to work through it and know that I'm human and remind myself of those things. But what do you do specifically in those moments that are challenging, where you have that realization of, oh, I've been kind of worshiping this for a little while and it's not good for me?
I really listen carefully.
Mm.
And I understand that in its own way, I'm being connected to my spirit through it. So even though it's painful, I don't blame myself for having these thoughts. I don't say, what is with you? Just snap out of it.
Yeah.
I realize this is part of my process and I honor it. Even if it's difficult, I look at it and say, okay, it's coming from somewhere. Just like a child, if a child would come to you and present something like this, I'm jealous, I'm angry, I'm shut down, I'm in despair, right? Despair is a huge idol. And hopelessness. They keep us so stuck and so small. When we look at it and we try to break it down so that we can move through it and get to the other end, we try to trace it. Where is it coming from? So that we can undo it. Is it coming from a message I got that has no right to disturb my equilibrium? Like, who gave it that entry? Just to we are responsible, just like we clear our environment, our physical environment of clutter and we make it pleasing so that we can function in our best selves. On an emotional level, it's the same thing. We have to declutter and make a beautiful space for ourselves to inhabit. That is where we are going to have the largest life. And guess what? Just like in our physical spaces, it's like meant to just be undone, right? We can put together something, make it nice, take out make it organized. But very soon we're there doing it again, day after day after day. That is the process of life. Nothing in and of itself will stay kept and beautiful and organized. So, and pleasing, just like we do it in our external realities, all the more so in our internal spaces that we inhabit, right? We can change our externals, but our internal landscape, we have to always work on, always constantly being on guard. What's here that doesn't belong here? What's hurting me that doesn't belong here? And garden it, nourish it, feed it, soil it, put it in the right soil, so that we can grow into the fertile beings that we are, that we can realize all the potential, all the creativity, and all the divinity in ourselves and in others. I read something last week, and I wish I could find a source to attribute it to, but I can't. But it said something like, if you want beautiful eyes, see the beauty in others. If you want beautiful lips, speak well of others. In other words, I guess that's sort of, beauty is as beauty does.
Right.
Right? There's no way to really glimpse another person until you see their actions, what they say, what they do. So this is all part of mattering. We were talking before about what we laugh about, what we cry about. And you know that in my book, Dare to Matter, I present my aunt who was personality disordered and really was not held in esteem throughout the family and beyond. And what I found myself a lot was thinking about her life and really crying about it, a potential of a life wasted. And that played out very large on my internal landscape, which is why I wrote the book ultimately. It was her. It wasn't, there were a lot of pieces to the story, but the piece got me to show up. The word to type it all out was her. It was her. It was that person who doesn't get to matter. And just in my inner world, didn't. And to go.
I was going to go ahead. Did you want to finish? some notes while you were talking because it bothers me when someone that matters to me in a big way doesn't feel like they matter. And it really does have an effect from what I'm just thinking through different things in my head right now. It has someone not believing that they matter can almost be like kind of a poisonous ripple effect a little bit, because it makes me sad, and it makes it, and even to think about moments when, oh God, I should have brought tissues today. um even in moments when I look back and I see that I didn't think I mattered at all, and it's just this, I can see how that must have to my grandparents who gave up so much for me and loved me unconditionally, how much that must have really hurt them that I didn't think that I mattered at all. And so I'm just having this moment of like, if I really say that I, and believe that I love people the way that I love people, in those moments where I feel like I don't matter, what a disservice that does to, like, it just all hit me all of a sudden. And so when you talked about despair being, goodness gracious, you talk about despair being one of those things that keeps us really stuck hard, one of those idols. I have somebody in my life that has been stuck in that place for the longest time, and I'm a fixer. I'm like, I want to make it better, tell me how I can fix it. And I realized at some point that there's literally nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do, and I want so badly for them to just snap out of it and like realize not that they matter, and that they matter to other people. And it's just hard to watch that. It's hard to watch that. You think that, I guess coming into this series, my whole point of this is that I was thinking of mattering to the person, but there's so much that mattering affects everybody that's connected to this person as well. And I guess that's a huge takeaway for me in this.
Yes. Let's go back to the story that you're relating about you versus, vis-a-vis your grandparents. So in that scenario, you said you felt that you didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Did they know that?
Yeah, I'm almost positive they did. And they did everything that they could to try to, they built me up all the time. They showed up to things that I look back now and was like, I really mattered to them, but I was so caught up in, I don't matter, I don't make a difference, then it's hard to see that when you're in that place of despair and feeling some kind of way about yourself.
Yes. And now you're describing somebody in your life who's on that side of it, who's presenting as somebody who really doesn't feel that they matter, and the how it plays on you. So you've experienced both sides of it. So, right. So as we all know, nobody can give us our mattering long term. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Just like nobody can eat for us. Nobody can take a walk for us. I always say, would you please take my body for a walk? And I'll just bring it back when you're done. It doesn't work that way. We have to exert ourselves, right? And so the best we can do for a person, what we do for ourselves is exactly what we can do for another person. We hold out the biggest vision of who we can be and just keep working towards it. And for a person who does not think that he or she matters, that's what we do. We can't falsify it for them. We can't say, well, of course you matter. What do you mean? No, it has to register in a very deep level for them. The best we can do is really keep showing them certain things that they may not see on their own for themselves about who they are in the positive way. They truly don't see it. They truly don't understand how they are experienced in a positive way by others. So one of the biggest things we can do, and this is for our whatever we do for ourselves, we do for others. It's the same thing. We stop and we say, we just did something. Reflect on it. What did it? We sent some food over to somebody. Do you know the significance of that?
Mm.
Sometimes we don't. We have to say, what happens if they didn't have that food?
Right.
Right? They would have gone hungry a whole day. What does it feel like to go hungry all day? We wouldn't want that for ourselves, and we didn't let it happen to somebody else.
Yeah.
So part of our mattering, Jessica, is to show somebody else theirs and to really stop and understand that they don't understand the influence that they can have over somebody just by showing up or just by doing a small action. And granted, it doesn't feel like enough. And enough is a very big question I tackle in the book, in Dare to Matter. What is enough? That's another idol, right? When is enough enough? And that's about an internal building. So when we are standing in enoughness, it doesn't mean we don't want more and that we're not going to accomplish more. It means that we are standing and in the present and understand the value of what we have. And if we can do that, we have the capacity to receive more. If we cannot appreciate what we have, how impoverished are we? We'll never be wealthy, no matter how much we have in any area.
Right.
But if we have the capacity to stand in it and value it and appreciate it, then we really have the capacity to be more and do more. It's a little counterintuitive. You think if it's enough, you won't need more and you won't get more. It's really just the opposite. If you are standing in enough, you have the capacity, you have the space to receive when you're ready for more because you appreciate what you have.
Right. Right.
So these are concepts, and to break them down into emotional living day to day is really what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're trying to break it down with using language around it so that we have a way of thinking about it. And once we have a way of thinking about it, we can then begin to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other realizations that I had throughout this series was about, obviously we know that, it's, as you just said, mattering, we have to matter to us. Like nobody can make us feel like we matter. We have to choose that. And one of the things that I realized is the importance of that where mattering to others is concerned. Obviously, for me, it feels good to matter to other people. If I think to most people, it feels good to matter to other people, if we're being honest. And but sometimes what mattering looks like to us may be different than how they're showing the mattering or expressing the mattering, so we don't see it till later. But if we don't matter to ourselves, then I could see us being in that place of despair or depression, or feeling bad, feeling like we don't matter because we don't have that internal mattering within us when we can't see the mattering from other people. There was something that was happening this last week where I was expressing to one of my children, I hear you and I see you, and I want you to know that I'm verbally telling you, I want you to know that your thoughts matter to me, how you're feeling about the situations matter to me, but I cannot do what you need me to do in the moment. Like it matters, but I can't, like we just can't do it. And so I hoped in that moment that they understood, but I know it's probably going to be one of those situations where 10 years from now they look back and go, yeah, it did matter, but I understand the situation
Or
at this point.
yeah, I mean, I think they felt understood.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. You don't have to do what somebody says for them to matter or for them to feel that they matter.
Right.
You can absolutely set limits, but that's when you set limits in the context of mattering, that's a whole different picture than setting limits without that kind of respect, right?
Right.
That's how do we get things even within ourselves, right? We want to have discipline and limits, and so that we can accomplish things and achieve things. But when we do it in a way that's respectful, that's hopeful, that speaks to the highest part of ourselves, that's a very different ask than demanding of ourselves things. Right? That's all about the choices. From where do we make those choices?
Right.
Right? If we make them from mattering, from strength, from hopefulness, from spirit, then we are living a large life.
Mm.
So that
Yeah.
child, I wouldn't give that a second thought. I mean, you made that child feel understood and mattered.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what you did or didn't do. Whether you did listen to that child or you didn't do what she wanted. So that is exactly the idea. It is that child was understood, was heard, was acknowledged, was validated, was valued, mattered. And you're right. There are different things that are going to matter to different people. So part of this is being with people and being connected with people who value what you value and what matters to them, matters to you, that, we share a common sense of purpose. But the truth is that all humans at a basic level matter to one another. Just because we're human beings and we inhabit the same planet and we're all driving towards our own purpose, which collectively, I just want to talk about this for a second. We all, what is redemption? Redemption is the collective light of everybody in this world. So when we break our idols and stand in our own light, if each person does that, all of a sudden you have a collective redemption, because there's a collective light and space that is filled with light. That's redemption. So while it may not happen on an entire world level yet, on a global level yet, but each of us has our own redemptive light to shine and to stand in and to work towards. And by chiseling away at these idols, at the approximation of what's good, right, and of what's godly, by chipping away at that, breaking it down so that we can build up what's really right and authentic, that's when our light begins to shine.
Yeah.
And that's redemption, even on a personal level.
It's such a beautiful thing to think of, because we've talked a lot about, I've been sharing some quotes about community on our social media over the last several weeks. And because community is something that we've really been adamant about this platform being about. It was never, here I am wanting to do a show. It was supposed to be from the very beginning about bringing people together, about community. And so so as I'm thinking about that, like, just imagine the possibilities of, if you have the majority of, like, just first example, say everybody in the group is leaning into their light as you're talking about here. And imagine the impact that you have on the world if everybody in the community is connected in that way. And then say one or two people come into the group that are not connected in that way. Imagine what happens to them being surrounded by these people who are connected. So, I mean, it's just, it's a beautiful thing to think of the impact that we can have one by one if we're doing this work and then come together as a community. It's so powerful.
Light is powerful. Light draws and light influences. So yes, we have no idea where our light will travel, And the way I say it in the book is we have no idea, in whose words our healing is. Sometimes it's from the most simple, humblest child that holds we don't know. We don't know who God sends as a messenger and as a conduit for the message we need to hear on any given day. Today, perhaps maybe you're the conduit for a message that somebody out there will need to hear at some point. Maybe I'm a conduit. Maybe together we don't know. We show up, we stand in it, and we know light's going to travel.
It will that. We're going to take a quick break, you guys, and we're going to be right back to finish up our Mattering series. We'll see if Shifra has any final thoughts for us, and don't go any, I'm sure. And we'll be right back after this, you guys.
Thanks for watching the Breakthrough Show Network. Today, we'd like to support our friend over at Nail Beauty by Brittany. Purchase your custom press-on Reiki-infused nails by visiting nailbeautybybrittany.com. Don't forget your discount by using the code BREAKTHROUGH. And now, back to the show.
For love. I shall stand for love. Even with a broken soul, even with a heavy heart, I shall stand for love. For the world is wounded, not just my little piece of land, where I am mostly safe, where I'm mostly well, but our world, everywhere, every day. I shall stand for love, because we need more light, not more deaths, not more power, not more bombs. I shall stand for love, so that our children are safe, so that our friends are sheltered, so that our borders are open. I shall stand for love, even with a broken soul, even with a heavy heart.
Welcome back to Project Joy Live. That was my good friend Sue reading the For Love poem by Dorothy O'Shea. We would love for you to stand for love with us by visiting weshallstandforlove.world. Really, it's been such an honor to be a part of that project. And you can even hear in that poem about being the light and how that helps us to stand for love. So I love how that tied in.
Yeah, that was a beautiful rendition.
Sue is amazing. I get to see her. So I get together every morning, every single day it's 6 a.m. my time. So early in the morning, but it's later where my friends are over in Brussels. Dorothy that wrote the poem. They get together and read that poem every single day. Everybody reads it in their respective languages. I think the poem is up to being translated into 73 different languages at this point. And so we all get together, everybody reads it at the same time, and then we have a little moment of silence. And it's been such a beautiful way to start my day the last few months, to just be there with other people. And Sue, that was in the video, is there often, and I met her in the mornings, and she's just such a light. And it's interesting, the people that have been really committed to this project and that have done a lot of this personal work that we've been talking about and really believe that they are a light that can change the world. When they read the poem, it is just a powerful, even if it's a language you don't understand, you just feel it, and it's a beautiful thing. I would love for thank you, Mandy, by the way, and good morning. It is good to see you today. I would love for you to give us your final thoughts, Shifra, on our Mattering series this week.
Okay, final thoughts. I don't think there's ever a final thought, but I do want to read you something from the book. So the first thing is, we've been talking about mattering. We've been asking, what is mattering? How do we get into our mattering? And what does that look like? So I just want to say, we may not have all the answers, of course, but an unanswered question is way better than an unasked one. So I applaud you, Jessica, for taking the time to ask the question and to work through it with me the past 5 Monday mornings. And my final two thoughts are again from the book Dare to Matter. Creating our mattering is our only hope against the emptiness that strains the human heart and drains it of its mattering. So what is mattering? Mattering is the music we play when we move into our inner God-given space.
I know you said you were going to give us a definition at the end of this series. That was so beautiful, though, and that's how I feel about the topic of mattering. That it's so different for every single person, but it is kind of that energy. And I love how you talked about, referred it to music as well, because I feel that I'm so connected to music in that way, that music is to me mattering and joy and love. And it's a beautiful thing. This whole series has been amazing for me. And again, I am blown away how this topic has tied into so many of the other things that we've talked about with the other guests this month as well. Scott and Kenneth both have gone back to, like, we'll talk about mattering on Monday and then they'll reaffirm it on their series, which has been really cool to see. And so it's just amazing. I really appreciate you being here the last 5 weeks. It was a big commitment, and I was excited to have you here for it.
And I thank you for the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. I'm gonna miss you next Monday.
I know.
I do appreciate the value of our conversations around all of this. I feel fortified through our conversations that for me, I was able to talk with you and crystallize certain things. That even as I continue to work on this concept and in my own life, to build rather than destroy, and to trust ourselves to know the difference. This has really been it has been a very meaningful invitation to join you. So thank you for that. You're doing work that I can see matters. What better thing to do than to bring joy to people? So I wish you blessings with that. And I'm a family friend too. And I know you're very busy on that front, and that's a front that really matters for you. And that's great. Your children are fortunate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, this whole series has meant a lot to me. And I know that we have passed the tissues in the audience several times these last 5 Mondays. And I knew it was going to end with me. I knew I would be the one crying today, but that's usually the case around here. Do you have anybody that's celebrating a birthday today, Shifra?
I do not, but I will listen to your song.
Okay. Well, we have lots of people in this. I was sharing with my son this morning, the fabulous people he shares his birthday with. So Idina Menzel, a fabulous singer. You might know her as the voice of Elsa if your kids are obsessed with Frozen, as mine are. So I loved her in Rent as well. She's just fantastic. CeeLo Green's birthday is today. Winona Judd's birthday is today. From back in wrestling days, I mean, we're talking like long time ago when it was WWF. Jake the Snake Roberts' birthday is today. Tom Morello, the guitar player for Audioslave and Rage Against the Machine, has a birthday today. Actor Jake Short from Ant Farm. My son made me put that in because he used to watch that show when he was younger, and I didn't know who it was, but he said, "We have the same birthday, Mom. You have to say him." So, Jake, happy birthday. Also in my life, Connie Rigsby, the birthday is today, and Laura Ann Goody's birthday is today as well. She was a good friend of my brother's while he was with us, and glad that she has an amazing birthday today as well. And of course, my son Clay's birthday is today. So let us give her birthday song on and wish everybody a happy day. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Idina Menzel, CeeLo Green, Winona Judd, Jake the Snake Roberts, Tom Morello, Jake Short, Connie Rigsby, Laura Ann Goody, and Clay Dugas. Happy birthday to you. Yes. What will you do on Mondays not singing the happy birthday song, Shifra?
Oh, I'll find something to do. But I will think of you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's been another amazing episode, you guys. Thank you again, Shifra, for being with us the last 5 weeks. It was amazing. Thank you to all of you who are watching or listening around the world. And don't forget to comment if you're on the replay, you guys. I know my good friend Sylvia commenting at 2, 3 in the morning. I get it when I wake up, my friend, but I love you so much and I appreciate your comments. And I will see you guys tomorrow to finish off our series with Laura Mazzata about empowerment. I also want to remind you really quickly that Rewriting Reality with Shiraz is on at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern time today. Tomorrow, we have an all new episode of My Way with guest Grim Long. She is a WordPress consultant, so tune in 5:05 p.m. Central time tomorrow for that. We have the Jacksons, of course, on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central time, diving into those relationships, and then they're going to be off for a couple of weeks because they are moving. So tune in tomorrow, Wednesday, for that. Thursday, we have an all-new episode of Freedom Starts Now with Karen Timer. And then, of course, on Friday, we will be back for the Breakthrough Show at 12 p.m. Central. And we are going to France on Friday with Greg. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Thank you guys for watching or listening wherever you are in the world. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to make joy a priority in your life today and every day. And by the way, you matter. We'll see you tomorrow.
You've been tuned in to Project Joy Live with Jessica Dugas, your weekday morning talk show, inviting you to start your day with a triple shot of good vibes only on the Breakthrough Show Network. Binge all past episodes of Project Joy at projectjoypodcast.com. Until next time, help us spread the joy by sharing this episode, and we'll see you soon.